Welcome to Swing Journalism. I'm Shelby Garlick.
And I'm Alex Chapman.
Today we look at the organic food industry.
We also take a look at the Melbourne live music scene.
But first to the organic food industry. The Australian Organic Market Report anticipates that the industry is set to reach $2 billion by 2018. But despite the projection for Australia's third largest growing industry, products labelled and sold in Australia are strictly speaking not required by law to be officially certified. Reporter Lucy Slade debunks some of the misbeliefs about organic food.
Once the go-to choice for greenies, organic food is now more popular than ever. According to this year's Organic Market Report, more than 1 million Australians are now buying organic food on a regular basis. And certified organic operations in Australia grew by 5% in 2016. The organic trend has seen local farmers markets pop up around the country.
It's about my health and my family's health, so I try and do that. I don't go ridiculous if it's we won't just buy organic, but I think overall it's better for your health.
Because there are no pesticides, and also organic food is considered to have more nutrition as opposed to regular produce.
More electrical energy in the food and vibrancy that's from the soil, and it generally just tastes 100 times better.
This consumer-driven trend has prompted farmers to switch to organic. Natasha Shields and her husband Wayne are among the 2,000 certified producers in Australia.
My husband was farming conventionally and he had a whole crop wiped out by using a mixed up wrong Fontana, wiped out his entire crop, so he decided to become an organic farmer, and we're enjoying the rewards of farming organically and seeing much better production, less pests that we were having as a conventional farmer to being an organic farmer.
Natasha said the swap to organic farming has been positive.
The most difficult part would be the paperwork. There's lots of laws and procedures that you need to follow for certification, but that's the most difficult part, is the paperwork rather than actually.
On the other side of the fence is John Hewitt. John is a third-generation farmer in northern Victoria. He uses chemicals on his farm and has no intention of stopping.
I just can't see I can make enough income from organics to generate enough income to cover the costs of farming, because if you're going organics, you're still going to have to work the ground, so that means more tractor hours, things like that, so you're going to have to cultivate a lot more.
John says most farmers avoid using pesticides.
They've sort of swung away from putting pesticides out in great abundance. I don't think people are a great lover of pesticides if they can get away with it.
83% of consumers say they choose organic because they believe what they are buying is chemical-free. And studies have proven this to be true. The Stanford review found that any pesticide residue detected in organic foods was of a minuscule amount. But consumers should not be worried if they are eating foods with pesticides. This is because the Food Standards Australia finds no public health and safety issues with exposure. Also in agreement is Dr. Tim Crowe, who is a research scientist in nutrition. Based on the studies he has read, Tim believes organic food isn't necessarily healthier.
If you look at the nutrient composition of organic versus conventional produce, the difference are none to very, very minimal for most nutrients. Any perceived health benefit is just that. There's been no research to show that long term your health will be better off because you're eating organic produce.
So how do you know if organic food is the real deal? The short answer is you don't unless you know the certifying laws. In Australia, there are 7 accredited bodies that can certify a product to be organic. The Department of Agriculture sets out a national standard the accredited bodies have to comply with.
The national standard sets out the requirements you'd expect, such as the prohibited use of pesticides, chemicals and the welfare of livestock. However, each organisation can make its own individual rules, but it cannot be less strict.
So we have strict criteria at the moment for a food being certified as organic, but the word organic itself can be used without certification. So consumers may think that it's ticking all the boxes of what an organic food is, but really it just may be meaning a subset of that. Or it may just mean that it's actually a feel-good marketing phrase to use, that something is organic.
In 2015, the ABS released a report stating only 6% of Australians met the recommended daily intake of fruit and veg.
Eating organic food means you're going to eat more fruit and vegetables. By all means, eat organic if your budget can bear it.
Thanks, Lucy, for that report. Now moving on to our second investigation. Historic live music venues used to be the home of Melbourne music stalwarts such as Paul Kelly and Mark Seymour, and while they have found success, Modern musicians are facing the challenge of maintaining a steady audience. Jack Walker has more.
These historic live music venues used to be the home of Melbourne music stalwarts such as Paul Kelly and Mark Seymour. While both of these artists were able to make a name for themselves and earn a viable income on the Melbourne music circuit, it's proving to be an uphill battle for today's up-and-coming talent.
Yeah, money is probably the biggest thing. No one, like, if money wasn't a factor and people were going to shows and buying records and doing everything, we could do what we love.
Financially draining, yes it can be. Yeah, because like, a lot of the time having to get an Uber to the gig because you've got like your amp, and then any money from the gig you'll end up wanting to put back into like recording or like doing something else with it, or like booking rehearsal space.
While live music events continue to be a popular destination for nearly 100,000 Melburnians on a Saturday night, a recent study conducted by Live Performance Australia has shown that ticket revenue for contemporary music has dropped by nearly 7% following a sustained period of success over the last decade. During the 2016 Contemporary Music Roundtable, Live Performance Australia chief Evelyn Richardson stated that after a decade of continuous growth, the golden years of touring are over, leaving some musicians in search of a more reliable income.
Pretty soon, well not pretty soon, after about 5 or 6 years of that, of just doing whatever you can to get by, you sort of have to make the decision to think of other means.
Despite these findings, club programming manager at the TOF, Dura Codre, states that it's still easy for young bands to find opportunities.
I don't think it's that hard getting a gig. There's a lot of venues, there's a lot of opportunity midweek. You got to graduate to maybe the Friday and Saturday night slots. But in terms of just getting a gig, like a basic gig in the music world or in venues, I think it's quite easy.
For a large number of young artists, it appears that the most accessible avenue of discovering these opportunities is through the at times difficult art of self-promoting on social media.
Well, I'm pretty involved in it with like Instagram and Facebook and stuff, but I think it is very important, but there's always got to be like content there.
It's like a necessary evil. It's kind of hard for self-promotion because there's a lot of doors closing and you're trying to say, hey, listen to what I do. So it's like, it deflates your ego a lot of the time. So you've got to have really thick skin and an inflated ego for a lot of it.
While young musicians currently have more means of self-promotion available to them than ever before, never has it been so difficult to maintain a consistent income, which could spell trouble for Melbourne's live music scene. Despite these growing financial concerns, the quality of today's music scene is still worth the price of admission.
Melbourne's got a really healthy, vibrant live music and electronic music scene. Cool. It's just, we've got some really great artists that are really making waves internationally. So yeah, I think it's looking good. Cool.
Jack Walker, Swinburne News.
Thanks, Jack, for that report. A record number of Australians received a life-saving transplant in 2016 thanks to the kindness of over 500 organ donors. I met with kidney recipient Rob Patterson, who was given a second chance at life thanks to the generosity of his son Michael.
At any given time, nearly 2,000 Australians are on the waiting list for an organ donation. Rob Patterson was one of them. After only being left with one kidney functioning at 10%, he was placed on dialysis.
Dialysis was 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 4.5 hours, and not a pleasant experience. Personal life is affected. The fact that you really can't travel, I mean you have to be at hospital every second day, so it takes away that, and then there's all the restrictions on your diet. You have to stay positive, because if you don't, then it can get you down. You know, I'm not saying I was bright Bob all the time, but yeah, there was definitely periods where I thought, I really can't do this anymore. I was lucky enough to get a transplant from my son, who donated a kidney to me in September 2016.
Yeah, he used to tell me like, oh, they won't accept your kidney, you're too young and stuff like that. So I just kind of was like, oh yeah, I can't, you know, if they're not going to accept it. He kind of brainwashed me in a way into not doing it. And then it just got to the point where I think I went in and saw him and I was just like, yeah, no, that's enough.
Unbeknown to me, he got in contact with the transplant nurse and went through all the testing, and then they rang me a couple of months later and said, just got to tell you, Michael's gone through the process of testing, he's a compatible match and he wants to donate your kidney. My reaction to that, being my son, I didn't want him to do it for reasons of my own, but he, when I said to him I didn't want him to do it, he said, well, if you don't take it, I'll donate it to somebody else. For people who are thinking about it, you know it's a bit emotional, but yeah, I mean, it just gives somebody a life back, you know, and is there a bigger gift you can give?
Thanks, Shelby. That was a really insightful report.
Thanks, Alex. I think it really highlights the need for Australians to make sure that they've registered their decision to be an organ donor.
And to find out more about registering as an organ donor, you can head to www.donatelife.vic.gov.au/decide. And now to Lucy Slade, who's got the latest on the world of sports. Lucy?
Thanks, Shelby and Alex. First to motorsport. It's been a big day in supercars with a Red Bull 1-2 finish on the second day of the Winton Super Sprint. Shane Van Gisbergen capitalised on his teammate's mistake to win his 4th race for the supercar season. But the day wasn't without action. Michael Caruso's Nissan caused a late race safety car after colliding with a wall. The weekend tightened the championship race with only 37 points now separating the top 4 drivers. And over to Formula One. Daniel Ricciardo has finished 3rd in the Spanish Grand Prix behind Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes and Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari. The Aussie celebrated his first podium of 2017, but was warned not to do another shoey.
Last but not least, come on, man, no shoey, okay? Just behave yourself, and you know, I'm very elegant today.
Over to AFL now, and the Adelaide Crows defeated the Brisbane Lions by 80 points on Saturday at the Gabba. The Crows are back in top form after shock back-to-back losses to Melbourne and North Melbourne. The wins mean that Crows holds on to their top position at the top of the ladder going into round 10. That's all for sport. Back to you, Shelby and Alex.
Thank you, Lucy. That's all from us here at Swin Journalism.
We hope you'll join us next time. Good night.